هل أنتم جاهزون؟ فلنبدأ. Are you ready? Can we start now? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Marhaban. I'm going to discuss this chapter 6 today that is about financial statements and closing process. Yeah, I think every one of you are very familiar with financial statements. So you have you have learned about income statement, a statement of changes in equity, and also balance sheets. I'm going to recap that. I'm going to repeat that statements, and I'm going to show you how to close the ledger's accounts and what are the proper journal entry for the closing process. So that will be the main content for this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is from Haynes and Perry textbook published by Chengish. Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to prepare financial statement with the aid of worksheet. This is what we did last week. This is just recap. I'm going to go very fast here. So for the worksheet, we use three major end of period activity. There is generalizing adjustment, okay, week 6, prepare financial statement, and today we're going to do this one, generalizing journal entry. So this is the thing that we're going to do today. The third one, generalizing closing entry. Okay, so this is example of your financial statement based on worksheet format. We did prepare worksheet. This is your adjusted trial balance, and then next to it is your income statement. This is income statement and also balance sheets. So this is the thing that we have done last week. Okay, so from this process, I want you to prepare the income statement. Okay. Second, statement of changes in equity, and finally is the balance sheet. So three statements. Okay. Important statement prepared from the worksheet. So all these statements should come with the company name, the statement title, the period, and for income statement, it start with revenue first. You don't start with expense first, you start with revenue, and then you have the dollar sign, and then finally you're going to put all the expenses. All the expenses. It's very straightforward. Okay. So for the income statement, this is just example of it. For example, Rohan campus delivery. This is income statement for month ended. If you're for 1 month, then for month ended. If for year ended. Okay. And this is the date, 30th June 2020. For 1 month, mean from 1st June until 30th June, we start with revenue followed by expenses. Okay. You can put revenue. Over here, you can also put less expenses, and this will give you net income or net loss. Maybe some of you love to put less here, less expenses. And then we indent a little bit here, maybe around 1 centimeter. So it's easier. This is more on presentation. So it's easier for you for you to read this document. So this is your total expense. You draw a line at the bottom, and then you total everything, put it down here, 1135. So this gives you net income. Just compare your revenue minus your expenses. This will give you your profit. Yeah.
Teacher,
Yes.
yes, account payable is not counted at expenses.
Very
Am
good
I right?
question. Account payable.
Account payable is not,
Liability.
it's liability, yes. It's not an expenses.
Yeah. So only these
Yesterday I was confused.
Yeah, so only these two items, revenue and expenses.
Okay.
Normally the expense will come with the word expense here, wages expense, rent expense, supply expense. The revenue can be gain, yeah, can be income, can be, yeah, depends on the nature of the business. Depend on the
Okay.
nature of the business, yeah. Rental, interest, yeah, that can all be revenue or income for the business. Okay. Then from this figure, the net income figure, you're going to use this figure in your statement of changes in equity. Statement of changes in equity. So this 1015, okay, you have your capital. This is your capital plus net income less drawing. This gives you increase in capital. Net income less drawing, that give you increase in capital. So your capital grow from 2000 to 2865. So very simple thing. Capital, this from your trial balance. This is from your trial balance. Okay. Net income is from your income statement. Drawing come from your trial balance. And this figure will go to your balance sheets. Okay. And always remember, for every document, you need to put the company name, the name of the document, and also for the period, maybe for month ended, or for year ended, for quarter ended, 30th June 2020. Okay. There's a question that I want to reply. Yeah. Whether do we need to write add or and loss? Okay. For this one, yes. If you want to put less, that's good. Less income, less expenses. So it gives you clear indication what you should do here. I normally put add, and also less here. Okay. And finally, you're going to prepare your balance sheet. What are the components of your balance sheet? Only 3 items. Okay, that is assets is equal to liability plus equity. Yeah, this equity come from statement of changes in equity. So you only left with assets and liability. So assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. Equity come from statement of changes in equity. So for assets, you need to classify assets into current asset and non-current asset. So for assets, divide into current asset and non-current asset. For liability, long-term liability and current liability. Okay, what is mean by current or non-current or current and long terms? I'm going to explain it soon. Yeah. What is current asset? Current asset are assets that are expected to serve the business for many years. Asset that are going to serve the business for many years. For example, if you have land, how many years you can use the land? Not one day, you can use tomorrow, next year, another 10 years, 15 years. The nature of the asset is long term. Same goes to building, equipment, vehicles, computer, maybe you can use for more than 1 year. As long as the asset will not change in more than 1 year, so we can assume the asset is a long-term asset. How about cash? How about cash? Is cash non-current assets?
No.
No. Cash won't be current asset, non-current asset. Cash is current asset. Why? Your money in your bank or in your wallet always change not every second, every day, right? Every time you use the money. So it's not a current asset. So it's not non-current asset. Cash is your current assets. Okay. So current assets, yeah, is very liquid. It can be converted, okay, asset that can be converted into cash. You can change into cash or consume within 1 year, or the normal operating cycle, whichever is longer. For example, cash, account receivable, you collect the money from your customer, supplies, prepaid insurance, all these fall under current assets. Why? Because you can convert it into cash, or you can use it within 1 year, less than 12 months. That's the easiest definition. Yeah, any asset that can be converted or can be consumed within 12 months, within 1 year. So that fall under current asset. So you need to distinguish your asset into non-current asset and then current assets. Current asset. Okay. Same goes to your liability. You need to check whether your liability you need to pay within 1 year or it's going to it's a long term more than 1 year liability. For example, if you took a loan to buy a building, you might take loan for 10 years or 20 years. So that fall under long term liability. So for this asset, Rohan Campus Delivery Limited, so we have assets, and I'm going to put the first category is non-current asset, second category is current assets. Okay, you total up this line, put it this line, and then you put the title here, subtitle, total non-current asset. The value is 3,500 or the 3,500. And for current liability, current assets, okay, you draw a line here and then give total the figure, and then this is your total current asset. Total assets is total non-current asset plus total current asset. So this is your total assets. Yeah, so that is how we try to report to users, yeah, the best presentation as possible, so we distinguish between current and non-current assets. We try to distinguish between current and non-current assets. Okay, there is a confusion, yeah, about what's meant by current and non-current. Okay, let me explain again what is current asset. Current assets are assets that can be converted into cash, or you can use the assets within 1 year. For example, if you have cash, certainly that is cash. If you have account receivable, you're going to collect the account receivable within few weeks or maybe within few months. So that still fall under current assets. But for building, you have the building. Next month, you're not going to sell the building. You're going to use the building for a very long period of time, for more than 1 year. If you buy a car, you're going to use the car for more than 1 year. So that car fall under non-current assets. Yeah, non-current assets more than 1 year. 1 year, their usage. Yeah, current assets, this one less than 1 year. You can convert to cash within 1 year. And then for liability, we classify liability into long-term liability and also current liability. Liability is obligation, is amount of money that you have to pay to your to the bank, maybe to the suppliers. It's an obligation that need to be paid within a year, not expected to be paid within a year, and do not require the use of current asset, also known as long-term debt. For example, when you have mortgage on office building, loan from the bank for more than 1 year, that fall under long-term liability, fall under long-term liabilities. Whereas for current liability, this is our liability that is due within 1 year or the normal operating cycle of the business. Yeah. So in this context, we expect we are going to pay our creditors, for example, yeah, our suppliers within 1 year. The most common one is, for example, account payable. Maybe you are given 30 days credit by your supplier. So this is why we classify this item as current liabilities. Same goes to wages payable. Your employees' salary, your wages, yeah, their salaries and wages. You're not going to pay them next year. You're going to pay within few days, maybe in 5 days, in 1 week. You're not going to delay the payment or after till after 1 year. Yeah, so it's going to fall under current liability. Fall under current liability. So for liability, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to divide liability into long-term liability and current liability. So this is just example. We have a current liability, put some space there, indent a little bit, and then put a total current liability. Total, put a line here, and then total the figure, and also total long-term liability. If you have any, otherwise just put it 0, and then you have total liabilities. Total liabilities. And then you can put another items here. Total, sorry, not total, sorry, that will be enough, yeah. So we have total liabilities then finally is your equity, put the figure equity there. So that's why you have total liabilities and owner's equity. Yeah, total liabilities and owner's equity in this one plus your equity. So this gives you total liabilities and owner's equity. Okay. So this is just an example of the balance sheet. Okay. So you are expected to know how to prepare this document, these three documents, and you will be tested in your final exam on how to prepare balance sheet, income statement, statement of changes in equity with adjustments, yeah, with more items compared to what you have in your midterm, during your midterm. Okay. So number two, yeah,